Ever sat at a cruise buffet looking at that shiny lobster tail or perfectly scrambled eggs and thought, wow, this must be so fresh? Well, what if I told you the truth is a lot more complicated and not always what cruise lines want you to know? I'm talking about frozen seafood dressed up as gourmet, pre-mixed eggs poured from a carton, pastries that were frozen weeks ago, and yes, even health risks you might face if you're not careful. Stick with me, because as an ex-crew insider, I'm pulling back the curtain on what's really behind fresh food at sea and how you can eat smarter, safer, and way better on your next cruise. Segment 1. The Cruise Food Illusion. First things first, cruise ships are masters of presentation. That buffet stretching out like a 5-star banquet, it looks like everything was just whipped up minutes before you arrived. But behind the curtain, here's the truth. A huge percentage of those ingredients are shipped in frozen. Seafood, steaks, chicken, even special dietary meals like kosher or gluten-free. That lobster tail? Probably frozen months before it landed on your plate. Those scrambled eggs? Often made from a liquid mix instead of freshly cracked. Breads and pastries? Frequently baked from frozen dough. And here's the kicker. Cruise chefs are trained to make frozen food look and taste fresh. With clever seasoning, sauces, and presentation tricks, most passengers never suspect a thing. It's culinary smoke and mirrors. Now, this isn't about cruise lines being lazy or cheap. It's about logistics. Imagine feeding 4,000 people 5 meals a day from the middle of the ocean. A modern ship is basically a floating city. And efficiency is everything. The logistics behind your food. Here's something most passengers never see. On embarkation day, trucks roll up and unload tons of food. Literally. We're talking about mind-blowing quantities like this for a typical 7-day cruise with 3,500 passengers. Over 25,000 eggs, around 20,000 pounds of beef, chicken, and pork. Nearly 15,000 pounds of fresh fruit and vegetables. About 8,000 gallons of milk and dairy products. And yes, over 5,000 pounds of seafood, much of it frozen. Ships have giant walk-in freezers and refrigerators stacked floor to ceiling, almost like a supermarket warehouse hidden under your feet. Why? Because there's no grocery store at sea. Everything has to last the entire voyage, and freezing is the only way to keep it both safe and manageable. Segment 3. Health risks you don't think about. Now, frozen food itself isn't the villain. In fact, freezing prevents bacteria growth. But here's where it can go wrong. Improper thawing. If seafood or meat isn't thawed correctly, harmful bacteria like Salmonella or Listeria can multiply quickly. And here's the problem. Salmonella is one of the most common causes of food poisoning worldwide. It can hit you with diarrhea, stomach cramps, fever, and dehydration that can ruin your whole cruise. Listeria is rarer but much more dangerous. It can cause high fever, severe headaches, and in vulnerable people like pregnant women, older passengers, or anyone with a weaker immune system, it can even lead to life-threatening infections. Buffet contamination. Food that sits too long under heat lamps doesn't stay as hot as it looks. Once it slips into the danger zone, between 40 degrees Fahrenheit and 140 degrees Fahrenheit, bacteria can multiply like crazy. Add in thousands of passengers sharing the same serving spoons and tongs, and you've got a recipe for cross-contamination. That's one reason norovirus outbreaks are so infamous on cruise ships. A single careless passenger can spread it to dozens of others through the buffet line. Norovirus, E. coli, and even salmonella from mishandled dishes can cause severe stomach cramps, vomiting, diarrhea, and dehydration. Not exactly the vacation memory you want. Digestive issues. Processed substitutes like powdered eggs, frozen pastries, or reconstituted juices aren't necessarily unsafe. But your stomach knows the difference. These foods are often higher in preservatives, sodium, and artificial ingredients, which can leave you feeling bloated, sluggish, or queasy. Not fun when you're trying to enjoy a day at sea. Sensitive passengers might even deal with indigestion, heartburn, or gas after a few days of eating them regularly. So while freezing isn't dangerous by itself, the handling and reheating process, especially in a rushed cruise kitchen, is where passengers can end up with that infamous cruise stomach. Segment 4. The myths about fresh food. Here's the myth. Frozen equals bad, fresh equals good. But that's not the whole story. Freezing actually locks in nutrients. Sushi-grade tuna, for example, must be frozen by law to kill parasites. Some tropical fruits, on the other hand, lose flavor and vitamins when frozen. That's why the bananas on your buffet might taste a little flat. The real trick isn't whether food was frozen. It's how it's handled and cooked on board. Segment 5. Where to find the freshest food on board. Okay, so how do you eat like an insider? Here are the crew-approved hacks. Specialty restaurants. Want the best steak, freshest juice, or higher quality cuts? Pay the extra fee. It's almost always worth it. Made-to-order stations. At the buffet, head to the omelet bar, pasta station, or stir-fry. These are cooked right in front of you with fresher ingredients. Ask for local catch. Some ships stock up on fresh seafood or produce at ports along the route. If you're in Alaska or the Caribbean, ask your server if there's something fresh from that stop. Avoid mass trays. Scrambled eggs in giant pans or piles of shrimp cocktail are often the most processed and least fresh options. Segment 6. Save money while eating better. Here's the best part. You don't always have to spend extra for fresh. Stick with fresh fruit, salad bars, and daily soups, usually made that morning. Poolside grills often serve burgers or tacos cooked to order, fresher than buffet trays. And if you're on a budget, skip one specialty dinner and instead hit multiple made-to-order stations throughout your cruise. You'll still eat great without paying a dime more. Segment 7. Final insider tips. So what's the bottom line? Cruise food isn't a scam. It's a massive operation balancing safety, efficiency, and presentation. Yes, much of it is frozen, and no, that doesn't always mean unhealthy. But knowing where the real fresh gems are hiding can make your meals way better and safer. Here's my challenge for you. On your next cruise, skip the giant tray of buffet eggs and head straight to the omelet station. Try one specialty restaurant just once and see if you notice the difference. And now I want to hear from you. What's the freshest meal you've ever had at sea? Or the worst cruise food fail you've seen? Drop your story in the comments because I bet some of them will be hilarious and a little gross. If you found this insider tip helpful, hit that like button, subscribe, and tap the bell so you never sail blind again. And remember, the next time you're at that buffet, what looks fresh may not always be fresh, but now you know exactly how to spot the difference.